It's an all-out race to the exit as Jemma and Daisy attempt to pull the team together and get out of the framework before AIDA completes her escape. It's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, Season 4, Episode 20. Farewell, cruel world. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So yes, spoilers, they are a-coming. Alright, so great episode as they have been throughout this arc, and we are barreling towards the finish line. Only a few more episodes left until, well, 2 specifically, for the finale, and we are all done on the 16th. So, with this episode, we kind of wrapped up everything in the framework. Well, okay, maybe not totally wrapped things up. I'm pretty sure we're not totally done with the inside of the framework yet. But I loved how they opened things up here, flashing back for 10 days. Lets us know how long that Daisy and Jemma have been inside of the framework. So 10 days flying around on a Quinjet, now running out of fuel, running out of power, which forces them to cut the cloaking device, which explains why at the end of last week's episode we saw that Anton had identified where they were. Kind of was wondering how that happened. Nice that they spent a few minutes at the opening of the episode to sort of catch us up and let us know what's been going on in the real world. We have spent all of these episodes really inside of the framework, so sort of catching up with the very boring watching over 2 sleeping people inside of a framework that Yo-Yo and crew had to deal with. Well, it was, again, nice to catch up, and it gives us a little bit more of that impetus, that edge, because of course we have Anton going after the Quinjet now, and already we have AIDA heading out for her escape, so that really puts pressure on the team. Of course, they don't really know any of that part inside the framework. Meanwhile, inside there, we're trying to get the team together. And, you know, of course it's easy. Most everyone is there. Mack not really knowing what's going on, and they kind of played fast and loose with letting him know what was up. I was glad at the very end when Daisy sort of actually had that speak with him, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the discussion with Fitz, I thought that Daisy actually brought up a really good point about Fitz, because he is so much inside of Hydra that he is so protected, so hard to get to him. His idea, or her idea rather, of getting out of the framework, freeing everyone, and then coming back in makes sense. And also because Madam Hydra, AIDA, sort of has a thing for Fitz, less likely to shut down the framework and kill everyone if Fitz is still inside. So it's a good plan, but of course this is Fitz, and Jemma is not going to take any chances. So we lead to that big encounter with Alastair. And, okay, I don't like Alastair. I've expressed that well enough. I don't think any of us like Alastair at all. But I do appreciate the moment they gave with him, with Jemma, for this sort of basically last episode with him, unless we get a real world sort of flashback or visit from Fitz, something like that. Which may happen at the end. But it was good to see sort of the relationship that we had between Fitz and Alastair, because however cruel that Alastair is, however harsh, however mean, there is emotion there. He does care about his son, and Fitz does care about him. And I think it was really good that we got to see that moment where we have Alastair kind of stepping up as a dad, speaking of how, you know, great Fitz is, how much he loves him, how much he cares for him, and willing to sacrifice his life in order to save Fitz. I mean, those are some quality parental qualities right there, which Alastair was exhibiting. So, you know, it's good to see, because yes, his presence has made Fitz into this sort of torture monster. Let's not get around that. But seeing those moments where we actually have Alastair being a father and being a caring father, at least to the extent of what he could be, I thought that was really nice to take this moment to really show that humanity side of him. And from father to father figure, of course, we've got Holden Radcliffe. And, I mean, you guys have known how much that I've really enjoyed John Hannah's performance. I mean, ever since last season, I love him in the show. I love him in this role. And yes, he is being tortured. Yes, he has lost everything. He's lost Agatha. But because of that, it's really put him in sort of a perfect verbal dueling position. He doesn't care anymore. He's got nothing left to lose. But of course, he gets the Faustian offer. You can sell your soul and we will give you a new body. Quite a temptation for Radcliffe, who knows, of course, that he is dead in the real world. Fortunately, if Agatha was still alive, that might have been a better temptation for him. But he does seem to go with it. Of course, why not? But I do love that really in the end, it's a setup. Not a setup for him, a setup for Fitz. That he did the whole cooperation, told him where they were, guided him in there, merely to get him to the exit point so he can get out with Jemma and the rest of the team. It was just a beautiful kind of heroic arc and ending for his character. I mean, yes, he's not dead yet. He's still in the framework, so I mean, we're probably not totally done with him yet. But to be able to have that arc, I mean, he had his temptation. He tried to do the right thing. He saw the Darkhold and that got his sort of obsessive need in there. And then, of course, it got into AIDA and did its whole thing. But being in the framework seems to have freed him from the Darkhold sort of work, at least. I mean, maybe is it just because his body's dead? Is it being in the framework and being separated? That what did it? Is it because his body is dead and therefore he doesn't have the connection and that's where the Darkhold got its teeth? I don't know. But being able to reflect back to what he has done, the temptation that it did, and how far that things have gone, I thought that was a great way for him to do the most that he could to fix his mistakes, to really step up and do the right thing, willing to risk it all, really knowing that he is gone, he is already dead effectively, but still wanting to save Fitz, who he really does sort of see as a son, in some ways better than his actual father. But anyway, so I love the fact that we were able to sort of end his arc, at least as it seems for the moment, on that heroic edge, that he did it all to save Fitz and get him and Jemma back together. And of course, all the other difficulties at the framework come in, all the people that you have missed, the people that you don't want to lose, that's sort of what's happened with Mack. I mean, let me back up for a moment. The scenes with Trip were amazing. Daisy running right up and hugging him immediately. I knew that's exactly how I was going to respond, and I love Trip's back of, hello, person I've never met. Yeah, man, having Trip back is just great. Though we didn't see Ward at all this episode, did we? I'm wondering about that. Anyway, so the whole story's there of trying to let people know about the real world. That the Trip sort of picks things up, that's kind of nice. But it's really Mack. It's really Mack where all these difficulties are coming into. And I thought it was harsh how Daisy was kind of lying to him, manipulating him to get him on the plane and get him out of there. I did love, at least at the end, before he went through, before he tried to push him in or anything, that she did tell him. She did, in fact, give him the choice. Is this what you want to do? Yes, there are people that love you. But, you know, Mack and Hope together, I mean, that really has been something pretty powerful. Hope is incredibly cute. All of her scenes, she is totally adorable, and they are great together. And I can tell you, as a father, the chance to be with your daughter, to be with your child or not, there's really not a choice there. So I completely understand why Mack did this. And I know we're going to have the question, is it's just ones and zeros, it's all fake, he's throwing his life away. I understand that argument, but I think Mack puts it the right way, is she's real to me. And that's really all that's important. And she laughs at his jokes and cuddles with him, and it's the two of them against the world. And that is, you could see through a lot of the arc, especially this season, that's what was missing in Mack. They've laid the groundwork from this, all the way from the Ghost Rider at the very beginning, with seeing the picture and reflecting back to his loss, through the somewhat clunky scene with Yo-Yo there, but even especially into this particular arc, this is what's missing out of Mack's life. This is what sort of completes him. So I completely understand that he would stay, but I do appreciate the fact that Daisy was honest with him. She owed him that, and gave him the choice. You can stay or you can go. Yes, we want you to come with you, and of course Yo-Yo's waiting for you. He doesn't remember that. Yo-Yo versus daughter, I don't know. That's a tough call to make. But I do appreciate how his whole little arc went in this episode. But I don't think it's the last that we'll see of him. And of course, I can't end up anything without talking about Coulson and May. Together throughout this episode, and finally together at the end, pretty much. All very cute, very nice. Great interchange between the two of them, as usual. They got a chemistry, whether or not they even know what they're talking about together. Especially now, Coulson's whole description, one, of course, soap, and her catching up. What are you doing with soap? I love that. But his description of the framework is kind of a prison. Very Matrix sounding, very beautiful, very cool in its own way. But the two of them, I mean, again, I thought that it was great. I loved the fact that she was, one, that Coulson was willing to just walk in. Once he saw that the portal was real, he was ready to just walk straight into it, lead the whole team right, perfect. But of course, May going up after him after he gets shot and ready to throw him in. The two of them together, that last whole scene, really kind of indicative of their relationship. It's a leap of faith, and May is like, it's hard for me. Of course it's hard for May. She's lost a lot. She's got through a marriage. They've both had a big arc. But the fact that they left the world together, I mean, okay, moments apart he went and then she came out. But I thought that was kind of perfect. And them having that little moment together once they got into the real world, and catching up on everything, I thought that was just, you know, it was nice. This was a beautiful way to sort of connect them, even in the framework. We can really see that chemistry, see that connection, how they are dedicated to each other, and then of course their reward of awakening in the real world. Now the portal itself, I thought was beautifully done. A few questions there because, okay, it's part of the framework, it's part of the framework infrastructure, so they couldn't move it, it couldn't be changed in that sense. I love the fact that AIDA was able to rewrite what was around it and kind of disguise it, especially the brilliance of doing it in the middle of molten steel, right in the midst of a forge. You don't even take a chance with trying to get through that. But it does create, it's like, does AIDA then, was she aware of it? Because when they find out, when she finds out that Jemma is escaping, that she went after Alastair, her response is she must have found an exit, not the exit. So she seemed kind of surprised of where she was going, and if she had already been aware of it and thus changed the nature of the framework, changed the design of the environment around the escape portal, I don't know, that just, it just kind of threw me off a little bit. You know, is there more than one escape at that point? Because she didn't seem to be aware of that specific one. And also, once Coulson went through, it sort of disrupted the world around. Did that cool little digital wave through and let Mack know how fake the world is that he is inhabiting at the moment. But I'm kind of curious why that happened. My only guess is, it's not just necessarily someone leaving. Perhaps it's because Coulson was one of the original really inhabitants of the framework. I mean, May was the first, but the other ones were, the framework was sort of designed around them, and that reality was shaped off of their choices and their correcting of mistakes. So with him gone, does that mean that the framework had to sort of reset its digital self? That's the only thing that I could guess out of that. It was a cool scene. They just didn't really explain it that much, and so it was kind of like, why was this happening? All right, just a couple of small things before we wrap up. One, Coulson's comment when he gets shot in the chest is laying there in May's arms that, oh, this feels strangely familiar. Yeah, I would imagine, much like Tahiti being stabbed at the chest by Loki, might leave a sort of subconscious memory in there. Daisy's suggestion to Trip about putting on the Patriot suit himself, very Falcon into Captain America image going on right there. I loved that. I thought that would be perfect. But yeah, I totally saw, very much like Falcon becoming the new Captain America, Trip should get to become the new Patriot. Daisy had a great line with Coulson when she asked him exactly how the existence of an alternate reality just comes up in a conversation. It really doesn't. In Jemma's scene with Alastair, when Alastair asked Jemma if she's there to kill Fitz, and her response that I would never kill Fitz, there was a real nice moment there, because she's got the gun on him and she sort of drops it down as that moment of honesty and of opening up. But that lasted about a half a second, because she was right back on him with demanding that he do what she wants. So yes, she cares for Fitz. Yes, she is open about it, but she is dedicated to him, and nothing is going to get in her way. All right, now the ending one, Fitz. Man, that guy's going to need some serious counseling sessions afterward. I was curious how people, when they came out of the framework, what their mental state was going to be. But it's really pretty much they are back to who they are, but they have all of the memories of their experiences in there. And for Fitz, man, that's going to be tough, because like he said, it felt natural. She had programmed the world. She had programmed his response to be that harsh, cruel person in the mold of his father. So just, that's a harsh wake-up, and the realization of the cost, the loss of Mace, everything else. That's going to be a hard existence for Fitz for a little bit. But Aida's sudden appearance, very happy to see him. And he, I love it, because there's part of like that, I have memory of you as Ophelia, and there is something there, but also you are terrifying. And I thought Fitz played that. I thought Ian did that really, really well. Real question is, where the heck did she go? Okay, she made a body. She made a body with superpowers? I mean, I suppose if you're going to, that's the way to go, but that's like some sort of weird teleportation, strange, I don't know what that was. She's gone. So, bonuses of having your body made from the Darkhold machine, I suppose. But that just adds a whole new element of danger for the team to go after. All right, well, I think that covers everything. Is there something I am forgetting? Oh, yes. All right. If you guys are not at anywhere near the internet, this might be a potential spoiler for the last episode. So if that's the case, thanks everyone. I'm just going to talk about this before saying goodbye. So thank you. I want to give you guys actual, like, serious spoiler warnings on this, because here it comes. Ghost Rider has been confirmed to return for the finale. Now, we've had a few of those postulations. King George 95. You were talking about how with Ada in a new body has sin. And with sin, oh, then the Ghost Rider can do that. Can you imagine her just suddenly turning around and getting hit with a penance stare? That would be... I was hoping that'd be really cool. She walked out of the machine right into that. It's going to be a little bit longer. But yeah, King George, Falcon Jedi, you were also really hoping, really looking forward for Ghost Rider to come back. I'm sure many of us were. Great to hear that he will be. So that's going to be a real interesting end. But that's in 2 weeks. Next week is the penultimate episode, second to last. And then on the 16th is the finale. So 2 more episodes. Gotta be some interest going on there. We're going to go back to framework. Is Mack going to be stuck in there? Will he change his mind, or will something else happen? Will the framework stick around? And then maybe we'll have little back and forth adventures. I don't know. We'll have to sort of wait and see on that. So, if you did enjoy this review, please hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, comments. What did you guys think? How badass is Jemma? And do you think, I know there's going to be discussions whether or not Mack made the right choice. We'll throw those down in the comment section below. Let's do a little mind dialogue back and forth here. All right, and you can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram, of course. I'm at Darren Jakes. Now, like I said, there's only 2 episodes left, but we've got a new series, American Gods, that just started on Starz. Really good show. Very visual, very awesome looking. And those reviews come out on Monday mornings. And if you like that show, if you want to check that out, but you haven't seen my reviews, check that out. And you can become a subscriber and you won't miss anything. If you just hit my little face right there, press that button, you'll be a subscriber. You won't miss anything. And I will throw up our review for the premiere episode of American Gods right here. You can check that out. So, that's going to be it. I am D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.